What's going on, guys, and welcome to the Destiny 2 open beta for PC. Now this video is going to be a bit differently. I'm going to talk about how it runs performance wise, how it looks on PC and everything like that. So with that being said, let's get straight on into the game options and go from there. Now this is the first time we have seen Destiny on PC, and straight off the bat Bungie have done a great job at making a good PC port of the game. So on the normal controls we have the look sensitivity. You can go up, down, whatever. Well, yeah. You have an aim down sight sensitivity modifier, which is pretty good if you want your aiming to be a bit faster than your normal looking around and stuff. That's where you can change it there. You got your inverted settings, and your smoothing. I'm going to turn that off, even though I hate aim smoothing. I didn't feel much of it in game. I didn't even know that option was on, to be honest. So there we go. And you got your normal controller options down here as well. Every button is rebindable. I highly recommend hopping into this settings first and giving these a little quick round, because there are a lot of keys that are weirdly binded. So hop in here, change the keys up if you need to, because yeah, there are some weird ones. Like the emotes are the arrow keys. Bit awkward if you're use the emotes quite a bit. It's a bit weird to be over there, but it works nonetheless, I suppose. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, the video options are something I was quite worried about, to see how they would make the game for PC, and I am pleased to say that it works very well. So you have your window modes. You've got windowed full screen, borderless window, and windowed full screen. I am running this at 4K at the moment. I'll say all about my performance in a second. You've got your VSync off 60 or 30 FPS. Your resolution, there's generally every resolution you can think of that you could possibly need. So that's pretty damn good right there. Field of view, it goes all the way up to 105, I believe, and down to 55, I think. So yeah, if you want to play from 55 field of view, I'm not too sure why, but you got that. You set your screen bounds, your brightness, and here is the graphics quality of the game. And as you can see, there are a ton of options for you to fine tune it however you want to get the game to play as well as you can. Like I said, I am currently playing this at 4K, and I've got most of the settings onto high, and I do average between 45 and 60 frames per second, and in my eyes that's pretty great because the game looks fantastic. And I'm running on a 1070, I forgot to mention that. But yeah, so you've got your anti-alias in there, your screen space right there, your texture qualities here, shadow, depth of field, turn that off, I hate it, ugh. Your detailed distance for foliage, character, environment, and your shadows, which is pretty good. You don't see too much detailed distance in games, first-person shooter games, nonetheless. Your light shafts, your motion blur, turn that off as well. Ugh. And your wind impulse. I don't know what this is. I just got it on. I don't know what this is. And of course, you've got your nice feature of the render resolution. You can whack that up. What it does is it basically scales the resolution you've got to be higher or lower depending on your settings. So if you're struggling to run it at 4K but you still want it in a big old 4K window, just turn it down. Same with every other resolution. So pretty good. And you've got your film grain. Turn that off as well. No one wants film grain. Oh. And you've got other fancy settings. So in terms of actual quality settings for the PC, they've done a fantastic job, even adding the little VRAM usage up here. And it works very well. It should run on a hell of a lot of systems, because like I said, I am running at 4K. You can see my settings right here, and I average between 55 and 60 frames in most areas. So that is pretty damn great. And like I said, they've done a fantastic job at being a first time game on PC. So here you've got your normal sound options. You've got the game volume, chat volume, music, and a mute when not focused. That's pretty good. We're going to put that on though. Although the beta runs out very soon, we're going to put that on anyway. Voice chat, we're going to turn that off because I'm recording at the moment. I don't want to hear people listening to me record. You got your push talk and your team voice channel like that. So that's pretty good. All integrated already into the game. You can change your reticle for PC and console. But you can change the colour as well, which is pretty good. And you have your kind of luxury options that you can change just to tailor up your gameplay a bit. So you can have your helmet, if you want to have your real names, battle tags, and so on like that. But this FPS display, I highly recommend just don't bother using it, because it is probably the worst frames per second display I've ever seen. All it does is it flicks between either showing 30 or 60. And if you're closer to 30 frames, it'll show you 30. If you're closer to 60 frames, it'll show you 60. I mean, it's not very helpful whatsoever. So don't even bother with it. And you've got your accessibility options as well. So you've got the opacity, subtitles, and you've got colorblind mode, which there's a good amount there. And change your character and exit to desktop. So it's weird that this log off change character is in this menu right at the bottom in accessibility, but it is what it is at the end of the day. So with that being said, like I said, there is a great amount of options over every single category, to be honest, and it's really nice to see. But with them being looked at, we're going to have a quick look into the actual gameplay itself. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the original Destiny. It was okay, I didn't have much time on it at all, so I'm not going to have much comparisons to say. And the beta did only include the first intro level and a strike, which I believe is like a raid, and PvP. So there's not a whole great deal of content there anyway, so I can't really talk about much, but I will see you in the gameplay. In terms of gameplay itself, it still feels pretty damn great. Like I said, I didn't actually have much interaction with the first game, so everything here is all pretty new to me. And now, of course, the question on everybody's minds is, does it work well on PC? And I can safely say that it feels as if Destiny was made for a computer. And I'll talk about the different aspects briefly in a short while. So, in the game itself, you're greeted with a kind of first level intro mission which really sets the bar for the story and setting. Destiny 2 is all about everything you know and love has been destroyed and you have to build yourself up from scratch. The ending intro cutscene managed to capture this perfectly and actually really made me want to see more of the full game.
I am gold, and your light is mine.
However, I'm not sure if this is actually the first mission of the full release game or just a chosen one for the beta, but coming from no real knowledge of the original Destiny, I had no clue what was going on, and even less of a clue of how to control my character, since the game doesn't tell you a thing tutorial wise, control wise, nothing like that. The other content that I jumped into was a strike. This is generally a sort of co-op mission which ends up with a giant boss, and you can gain some pretty decent loot out of it. Unfortunately, on my first try we weren't able to defeat the end boss, and we died when it had about 20% health left, which did suck. However, I did have a whole lot of fun running through this strike with some random people, because strikes were something I never got to do on the original Destiny. There were times when the gameplay did feel a bit too difficult, but it was never anything that was impossible to overcome. I was generally surprised about how well the final boss works it too, with it having multiple stages for you to fight in as it loses health, just like a general MMO or something like that. And the revival system is absolutely great. It's so quick to pick somebody up when we're currently flooded by games that make you stand around for hours to revive your buddy. It's perfect, it really is. The best way to describe the combat is, of course, a comparison to Borderlands. You have multiple different weapon slots to take down the enemies that are flooded over you in big groups. You have 2 slots for ordinary weapons and 1 for a heavy weapon, which you will receive less ammo for from enemies, but it does pack a lot bigger punch. For switching weapons, you can easily do so with the mouse scroll wheel or using numbers 1 to 3 on the keyboard. I don't know what 4 does, but 4 might be something as well. It's a weird mix between a fast-paced shooter and something where you have to take your time in some areas, because the game features no respawn location, so if you die, back to the beginning with you. The power skill thing for the Titan was pretty fun to use whenever it did charge up. I didn't get to play the other ones, but the Titan is pretty good nonetheless. The one huge issue I have with Destiny 2 though is that the grenade takes forever and a day to recharge. I guess you can maybe upgrade this later in the full game, but it is so damn annoying in the beta. The aiming is as good as you'd expect, and honestly it works as well as it possibly could. Both aiming down sights and hipfire have the same amount of control about them, and it does offer some very precise combat. I'm really happy for this because I just couldn't get on with the aim in the original Destiny, and I generally have no idea why, and it was one of the only games I couldn't actually play properly. The movement system is movement really, not a huge amount to talk about. The only two issues I have with it is that there's very slow directional movement. If you hold down W and D or A at the same time, the movement will slow down as you move at an angle, and it's very slow. Also, I had no idea how to properly control the jetpack thing. Sometimes I had to activate it once to start flying and press spacebar again to drop, but other times I had to hold spacebar and it was really difficult to properly learn it. There are a lot of controls that are weirdly placed, as I stated at the beginning, around your keyboard, so just make sure you head out into the options and check everything first. As you can see in the gameplay that I've been playing for the last 10 or so minutes, the game looked absolutely fantastic in every way. It's so colourful and vibrant with every single texture, and this is what surprised me quite a bit to see I could run it at 4K. There's been a few games that recently that refuse to let me run it at a steady frame rate at medium to high settings of 4K resolution, but then Destiny 2 came along and showed me how much Bungie has fine-tuned and optimised their game to work amazingly. As I stated earlier, it wouldn't surprise me if this could run on a whole lot of systems, and I guarantee you it will look perfect on every single one. Now, to wrap things up, hopefully I've been able to grant some sort of insight into how Destiny 2 will perform on PC. Every single one of these options will most likely be there in the full release, so you have nothing to worry about. I had a lot of fun inside the beta, and I'll probably be picking it up to play co-op, but whether it interests you, that's a completely different story. Destiny 2 is due out on the 6th of September for PS4 and Xbox One, but if you're looking to get it on PC, you'll have to wait until the 24th of October. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video and I was helpful at all, I'd appreciate if you could leave a like, and I'll see you in the next video.